The first time I realized my parents were capable of destroying my child's life, I didn't scream or cry. I just stood there, holding my phone, staring at a number that read 0, while my heart slowed to a terrifying calm that told me everything had already changed. Quick reminder, most of you aren't subscribed. If you enjoy this, hit subscribe and like now, then let's get back to the story. My name is Olivia Parker. I'm 34 years old, a healthcare worker who spent most of her adult life learning how to stay steady when alarms go off and people panic. I live in a modest house outside Columbus, Ohio, and my entire world fits into the small frame of my 7-year-old daughter, Emma. She has bright eyes, an uneven laugh, and a heart that doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Some mornings she wakes up full of energy. Other mornings she asks me, very seriously, if today is a good heart day. That question has shaped my life more than anything else ever has. Emma was born with a congenital heart condition. Doctors explained it in careful voices, like they were afraid the words themselves might hurt her. Surgery wasn't optional, it was inevitable, so I started saving when she was 2. Every extra shift, every skipped vacation, every dollar someone handed me for birthdays or holidays went straight into a separate account. I didn't see it as sacrifice. I saw it as survival. I was saving my daughter's life. My parents lived across town. From the outside, we looked like a normal American family. Holiday dinners. Smiling photos. My mother, Margaret, had a way of controlling everything while pretending it was concern. My father avoided conflict like it was a disease. And my younger sister, Lauren, always seemed to land on her feet without trying. When she got engaged, it was immediately clear her wedding would be the event everyone talked about for years. 6 weeks before Emma's surgery, the date was finally locked in. I felt something close to hope for the first time in years. That was when my mother suggested adding her name to the savings account. "Just in case something happens to you," she said. "I'm her grandmother." I hesitated. Emma was sitting at the table coloring, completely trusting the world around her. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself family meant safety. I added my mother to the account. 2 days later, Lauren sent me photos of her wedding venue. Chandeliers, white roses, everything expensive and perfect. I felt a strange tightness in my chest that I couldn't explain. The money disappeared on a Tuesday morning. No alerts. No warning. Just cero. I refreshed the banking app again and again, my hands shaking so badly I had to pull over before calling the bank. A calm voice confirmed the withdrawal. Authorized. Legal. Made by my mother. I drove straight to my parents' house. Same porch I'd grown up on. Same doorbell. My mother opened the door smiling, like this was a casual visit. "What happened to my money?" I asked. She waved her hand. "Oh, that. We needed it. Wedding costs are outrageous these days." I reminded her about Emma. About the surgery. About the date circled in red on my calendar. "She'll be fine," my mother said lightly. "Kids bounce back. This wedding only happens once." Something inside me cracked, slow and quiet. Then she smiled and thanked me for helping my sister. I asked about the wedding invitation, even though I already knew. She didn't apologize. "It's a big day, Olivia, and honestly, you always bring things down with medical talk." Medical talk. That's what she called my daughter's heart condition. I left without another word. That night, I noticed my sister had blocked me on social media. 2 days later, Emma struggled to breathe climbing the stairs, and I carried her to bed while the truth settled into my bones. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a choice. And that was the moment I realized something that would change everything. If I wanted to save my daughter, I couldn't rely on family anymore. I would have to rely on the truth, and I would have to be willing to let it destroy everything else. The night after that realization, the house felt unnaturally quiet, like it was waiting for something to break. Emma was asleep upstairs, her breathing uneven but steady enough to let me sit alone at the kitchen table without panicking. The heater clicked on and off. A car passed outside. Ordinary sounds, yet everything felt fragile. The surgery date on the calendar stared back at me, circled in red. 6 weeks had already turned into 4 after her last appointment. The doctor hadn't dramatized it. He didn't need to. His careful tone told me waiting any longer wasn't an option. I didn't call my parents. I didn't text my sister. I washed dishes, packed lunches, folded laundry, small, mechanical things that kept my hands busy while my mind finally did what it had been avoiding. I stopped thinking like a daughter and started thinking like a mother. The money was gone legally. That meant yelling wouldn't fix it. Begging wouldn't either. Whatever came next had to work without their permission. That's when an old memory surfaced, sharp and uncomfortable. A holiday dinner years ago. My sister's fiancé talking too confidently about shipments, overseas delays, money tied up. Everyone else laughed. I hadn't. I remembered how he'd watched the table when he spoke, not people. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I reached out to someone I barely knew, one of his business partners. We met at a small coffee shop downtown. Nothing dramatic about it. Two people sitting across from each other with paper cups between us. He looked exhausted, like someone who hadn't slept in weeks. "I can't keep pretending," he said quietly. "Not after what they did to your kid." He didn't give me everything at once. Just enough to see the outline. Numbers that didn't add up, payments circling back on themselves. A folder slid across the table, heavy with meaning. "I'm not asking you to do anything illegal," he said. "I just don't want this on my conscience anymore." That night, after Emma fell asleep, I spread the papers across my kitchen table. I didn't rush. I read slowly, carefully. What I didn't understand, I researched. What looked wrong, I marked. By the time the sun rose, the truth was undeniable. The wedding wasn't being paid for with generosity, and the truth didn't belong to my family anymore. I contacted the authorities and gave them exactly what I had. No accusations, no emotion, just facts. They listened. They asked questions. They took copies. When they left, the house was quiet again. The morning of the wedding arrived softly. Sunlight through the blinds, pancakes on the stove, Emma telling me about a dream where her heart finally worked the way it was supposed to. My phone buzzed on the counter, again and again. I left it face down. By noon, the messages stopped. That's when I knew the ceremony had begun, and that somewhere across the city, the truth was about to walk into a room full of white roses and lies. The phone rang at 4:27 p.m. I watched it vibrate across the kitchen counter like it was something alive, desperate, clawing for attention. Emma was at the table with her crayons, tongue caught between her teeth as she colored a crooked red heart. She was humming softly, unaware that somewhere across the city, everything was about to fall apart. I didn't answer. The phone rang again, and again. Each vibration felt distant, muted, like sound traveling through water. I flipped it face down and focused on the ordinary things, the smell of pancakes lingering in the air, the late afternoon sunlight slanting through the window, the quiet safety of my own home. At 4:35, the house phone rang. That one I picked up. "What did you do?" My mother's voice came through the receiver, shattered, stripped of its usual control. Behind her words was chaos, chairs scraping, voices overlapping, someone crying loud enough that it pierced straight through my ear and into my chest. "I didn't do anything," I said calmly. "I stayed home." "They stopped everything," she sobbed. "They walked in right in the middle. People were watching, there were cameras. Your sister was standing at the altar." Her voice dropped, trembling. "And then they put him in handcuffs." I leaned back against the counter, the cool surface grounding me. My heart wasn't racing. It felt slow, deliberate, like it had finally decided what it was beating for. "Who stopped it?" I asked. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Another call buzzed through. My sister's name lit up the screen. I declined it. Then my father called. I answered. "Please," he said before I could speak. His voice was shaking, thin with panic. "Tell me this isn't happening. Tell me you didn't have anything to do with this." "I told the truth," I said. "That's all." There was silence. A long, ragged breath. "They're freezing his accounts," he said. "The wedding planner just left. Guests don't know what's going on. Your mother, she's hysterical. This is a nightmare." I pictured the ballroom I'd seen in photos. The white roses. The crystal lights. The cake that would never be cut. Conversations dissolving into whispers. Then speculation. "You ruined your sister's wedding," he said quietly. "No," I said. "Your choices did that. Mine just made them visible." My mother grabbed the phone back, her sobs loud and uncontrolled. "After everything we've done for you," she cried. "After we raised you, you do this to us? To your own family?" I thought of the zero in my bank account, the smile on her face when she thanked me, Emma gasping for air on the stairs. "You took money meant to keep your granddaughter alive," I said. You laughed about it. You told me I was ruining the mood. This is the mood you chose. Her crying turned frantic. We were going to pay you back. They're seizing everything, she whispered, fear finally breaking through. They say it's serious. They say it's been going on for years. Yes, I said. That's what happens when the truth catches up. My sister's voice suddenly cut through, sharp and furious. Give me the phone. There was shuffling, then her breathing fast, uneven. I hope you're happy, she said. You humiliated me in front of everyone. You destroyed my life. You accepted money you knew wasn't yours, I said evenly. Money meant for your niece's surgery. You blocked me. You didn't invite us. This didn't start today. She let out a hollow laugh. You're always so dramatic. It was just money. Something cold settled deep in my chest. It was my daughter's heart, I said. She didn't respond. In the background, someone announced that everyone needed to leave the venue. I heard heels clicking fast, voices raised at security, a door slamming hard enough to echo. I can't believe you'd go this far, my mother cried again. How could you be so cruel? I looked across the room at Emma, still coloring, brow furrowed in concentration. Safe. Cruel, I repeated softly. Is stealing from a sick child and calling it help. I ended the call. The house went quiet too quiet, but for the first time, it didn't feel hollow. It felt finished. An hour later, a message came from an unknown number. It's done. They have enough. I deleted it without replying. That evening passed without drama. I made dinner, helped Emma wash her hands, read her favorite book before bed. She fell asleep quickly, curled on her side, one hand pressed lightly to her chest the way she always did. I sat alone on the couch afterward, listening to the refrigerator hum, the house settling. My phone buzzed again, a voicemail from my mother. I didn't listen. I didn't need to. The confrontation hadn't happened in the ballroom. It had happened the moment I chose not to look away. The days after the wedding felt strange, like the air after a storm finally moves again. No more screaming calls. No more accusations hurled in panic. Just updates that came through other people softened, filtered, accounts frozen, investigations expanding, vendors demanding answers. The wedding photos were never sent out. The story people whispered wasn't romance anymore. It was consequences. My father called once. His voice sounded older. They say he could be charged with multiple counts, he said. Years. I know, I replied. Your mother, he started, then stopped. She keeps saying she never thought it would go this far. It already had, I said. You just weren't looking. He was quiet for a long time. What happens now? He finally asked. For you, I said. Or for me? He didn't answer. For me, I continued. I take care of my daughter. I hung up. Something unexpected happened after that. People reached out. Friends I hadn't spoken to in years. Coworkers. Even strangers who'd heard fragments of the story. Someone started a fundraiser. I didn't ask for it. I didn't promote it. But small amounts came in with messages that made my throat tighten. For Emma, you did the right thing. From one parent to another. Within a week, we were close enough that I could finally breathe. The hospital called to move Emma's surgery up again. Sooner. Necessary. The date scared me, but it also felt like a promise. The night before the surgery, Emma asked me if everything was going to be okay. I didn't give her false comfort. I gave her the truth. Yes, I said. It is. And for the first time in years, I believed it. I didn't win anything. I didn't get an apology. I didn't get my family back. What I lost was the illusion that blood automatically means love. What I kept was what mattered. My daughter. Her future. And the quiet peace that comes from choosing courage over silence. Some boundaries don't break families. They save lives.